Doctor Who recently ended the new season, and there's like a perception of it. Okay, so episodes come out, and what you'll have is your standard sort of people who know what the fuck is going on are like, what the hell is this? This makes no sense. This is terrible. Blah 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 blah. And then you'll have people being like, actually, it's all going to make sense at the end. That has been a repeated sort of notion the entire season. The final episode came out and it answered all of the questions. There was a question that was running throughout the whole season where the main companion of the Doctor, when she was born, she was left at a doorstep by a figure who wore a cloak and pointed directly at the Doctor when he came back in time and saw her being dropped off. That was very mysterious. Very like, oh, what in the world does that mean? What could that possibly relate to? The whole season is going around trying to push and pull at what that could possibly mean, including wherever she goes, it will just sometimes snow. And we're talking magically, like she could be in a room, or rather at the bottom of the cave, and it'll just start snowing in the cave. And
that sounds like just some weird thing that happens for the sake of it being weird. That doesn't sound like it's ever going to have any sort of payoff or reason. That's
crazy rags.
Because I just hear that, and I know that's just a goofy, dumb thing that happens.
So I'm going to get into the villain of this fucking season too, but for now, we'll just say at the end of the season, they're able to solve this mystery because turns out in the distant future of 46 or something, Britain elects a hyper-evil prime minister who wants to find out what everyone's DNA is, and I think boot anybody who isn't directly from here. Like, you know, I don't even know. It's so cartoonish, and the guy has to be defeated by a magical... I'm not even going to get into it. It's just too complicated. In any case, they have her mum's DNA on record as a result of this prime minister in the future. So they discover the truth of the matter because they can find her with DNA fleamery. And she is, shockingly, a normal woman who dropped her baby off in order to... I don't know. There was like a thing of, I guess she was trying to protect the baby from being in a bad family, I think is the implication. And it's like, wait, but why was she cosmically special then? Why was this huge mystery happening? Why was all the magic surrounding it? And why, which I'll get to in a second, was the god of death obsessed with her? And they explain it. They say that, well, it's because... The nature of things being special is simply us thinking they're special. So you might be thinking, well, but she's like objectively special because of the snow magic and the weird pointing at the Doctor through time, and what's with the spooky cloak. And luckily for us, we've got our answers for those. So she points at the Doctor, not because she was pointing at the Doctor, but because she was pointing at a sign behind him, and the sign read Ruby Road, and that her pointing at the sign meant that she wanted to name the child Ruby.
Is she mute by any chance? Could she not just shout that at him?
I don't even understand that at all. She doesn't even know the Doctor is there, I think. She's just not... Imagine yourself dropping off a baby, and then I guess you just ominously point at a sign to show the name of the thing, the name of the road being the inspiration for the name of the kid. That's what the explanation for that is.
So it's another "your parents aren't special" thing, right? That's what I.
Well, I mean, there's that, but I'm just blown away already by the fact that you decided to have the explanation for doing the spooky point at a person who came from a time machine has nothing to do with anything other than naming the kid. But yeah, okay, so that explains that. The reason she was wearing a cloak was Russell T Davies was asked this, and he said. She wore a cloak, which is pretty obvious why she wore the cloak. Was not her choosing, but it was time shrouding her.
You're joking. You're joking.
Time?
Not only did he say it was time shrouding her, he said it's pretty obvious.
Come on.
How does time shroud you though? Like you're either in a certain place at a certain time or you're not, right?
Or you're in that place, but you're in a big cloak because if somebody uses a super duper futuristic machine by putting a VCR in there that like recreates a place in the past, then when they see you, you'll be in a cloak because that's more dramatic.
It gets worse. so we find out that the parents being, average people that have no universal significance, despite the fact that everybody all over the world was obsessed with finding out this mystery, apparently. That was inspired by something. Do you know what it was?
Oh,
No.
boy.
Can you think of another story where someone's parents turned out to be nothing special?
Ray?
Oh,
boy.
It's quite funny. There's a little behind the scenes thing where Russell T is like, there was the Star Wars trilogy. I don't remember the names of the films, but I thought it was very good and interesting that Rey's parents turned out to be, nobody. And then the next film made it that she was the kid of Palpatine, and I don't like that. But I like the other one where it's her parents nobody.
Why?
Everyone who says that just doesn't understand that race still needs to be explained then.
Oh, I find it fucking hilarious that this awful, awful story, the foundation
based
for it
on
was...
the sequel trilogy's protagonist, one of those forgettable, nothing, worthless characters in the history of fiction that was completely squandered and amounted to ultimately nothing except being a poster child for a dull Mary Sue.
But does it mean, though, that in like Doctor Who season 2 of this renewal revival thing, though, we'll find out that actually she is the granddaughter of Davros?
Well, whoever takes over will make it more and more special. But I find it fucking amazing that this whole thing, this season-long explanation is... there are some people tweeting that it's like, it's subversive. It's supposed to make you think it was something, but then it's absolutely nothing. It's surprising how many people try that and expect different results.
Wow,
where did the idea even come from that was going to be successful? Obviously, yeah, it's subversive. Oh, there I was watching a whole series worth of story, expecting something to happen. Oh shit, nothing happened. That subverted my expectation for how stories are supposed to work. True.
Because it's easy. All you have to do is nothing, and then you can be like, "Oh no, isn't that?" No, it's because it's really easy to do. You don't have to do any work.
I actually thought it took a lot of creative testicles to say time shrouded her in a spooky cloak, and that she pointed at the side to name her child. These things are just, like wow. And then it's by the way,
Time an agent? Like Time is a guy, or
yeah, of course we know him. He always fucks around and he has decisions to make, like shrouding people and stuff. There is an explanation for the snow, and that is there is no explanation. That just happens.
It just is like it just snows wherever she goes.
Yep, that's
Or
yep.
Oh yeah, that's right. It just started snowing for some reason.
Well, it does it in almost every episode with her. She just snow follows her around the world. Nobody knew why. The fans have just said, well, because when she was left at the doorstep when she was super young, it was snowing.
So how come that doesn't happen to the other people who are left on snowy doorsteps, or does it in this universe? And that's just a power you get from being abandoned. It's nice to throw a bone to the orphans. Though actually, it's not a superpower. That's just a fucking disability.
The villain of the season is actually someone who they brought back from a classic episode called Sutekh. He's
Sutekh?
He's a big dog. He's a dog. He
well,
sits on the TARDIS.
From what I gathered, because I haven't seen the episode, apparently
like a
he's
dog, or like a dog person guy?
He's an alien who came to Earth and tricked, I think, Egyptians into worshipping him, and he got more and more powerful. And his primary motivation is bringing death to the world. He likes things being dead.
Okay.
I can't remember if I haven't seen the original episode, so I can't really speak to it. In any case, he's defeated by being thrown into the time vortex, I believe, and We find out
you need to explain.
That
what
would defeat a lot of people,
You
I would
need
imagine,
to-
right?
You
Being
jump
thrown into a
past.
time vortex.
no, Fringy,
Like-
pay attention. He's been defeated by being thrown in the time vortex by Tom Baker's doctor.
I see. First time around, right?
He's back, and there's a whole episode, I would argue, that is all designed to simply say get across to the audience the notion that he's back. It spends like fucking 40 plus minutes just baiting whether or not he's coming back, and he's back. Here he is. And instead of the original design, he is now a big CGI jackal, I guess, because that's such a great capturing of like how you fuck everything up in retrospect. Because I could totally see the people who made it being like, "Oh, he's so fucking cool to have a big jackal," because they have him on the TARDIS all the time. He's like sort of covering the whole thing. And the doctor's like, "How did this happen?" And he says he jumped onto like the back of the TARDIS ever since he booted him out in the Tom Baker era. And so like the fans are already upset because it means that Sutekh, the god of death, has just
hanging
been
out the whole time.
Yep,
He's been
for every episode since then, he's just been on the
20 years,
TARDIS.
30 years.
And it's like, what? Okay.
I guess, yeah, it's been 20 years since New Who started, so how long has it been since Tom Baker?
It's
does that
been
mean
a
that-
while.
So they're saying that this whole time the Doctor has been bringing death everywhere he goes across space and time.
That is actually like a line, like wherever you go, death follows you, and it's like, oh,
Oh, but what if
Oh,
death was
no.
like a dog?
well, he's now officially the longest term companion, I think.
I guess Anubis is a dog, like a jackal.
That's obviously what
the
they're
god of
going
death.
for. Like but
Where's
like
that
This is the
Horus?
god of death. He's the god of mummification.
Horus is the god of death, isn't he?
No,
Am I-
Osiris.
Shit. Okay,
Wow.
I gotta brush up on my Egyptian.
No, Set is a different god.
so
Set is like evil, isn't he? Like just the,
Sure, why
the
not?
concept of it.
if you understand all that, which I'm sure you do, you'll understand that when he reveals himself, he's like, "Haha, Doctor, I'm the god of death, and you're fucked now." He releases the sands of death, and it kills the whole universe. Boom.
What?
Everything is dead.
But why would it got it? But that would be stupid because then there's nothing left to kill.
Well, he seems to be relatively happy, though. And I knew you were gonna ask about this, so I'm gonna cut you off ahead of time. He's obviously very upset because he didn't find out who Ruby's mother was. The god of death who annihilated the whole universe after spending decades, if not millennia, on the TARDIS through the time vortex. He wanted to know who Ruby's mum was because she had that time shroud. He was like, who's Ruby's mum?
Why wouldn't
But
he
if-
want to know who the dad is?
Yeah. Also, if your plan is just to kill everyone anyway, then why do you care?
I was gonna say, why would you skip to why the fuck would he care about some random girl's mum? I don't know why. There's nothing for that. But anyway, he's very obsessed with it to the point where he can't even kill the Doctor, because if he was to kill the Doctor, that means he kills his best chance at finding out who she is. So he wants the Doctor to go find out who she is. And so, I don't know how better to explain this. I mean, if Ringy saw this, he can confirm that I'm not lying. The Doctor does find out who the mum is and says we could probably weaponize that against Sutekh. You know, why not? The knowledge of Ruby's mum could be weaponized somewhat. And so then he gets what he calls an intelligent rope and attaches it to Sutekh, and then puts the other...
And just to help
An
everybody
intelligent
out,
rope?
they
Like a
call
magic
it-
rope? Like a
so
bat rope?
They call it that, but it looks like a rope you could just get from Bunnings, like for $10.
Well,
It
yeah,
looks
any
like a
intelligent
regular
rope would want to seem maybe like it wasn't, to blend in, perhaps.
I think it just looks cheap. I feel like a rope would look a little bit more fancy than this rope.
So there's that. They attach one end to Sutekh and the other end to the TARDIS, and then they just go through the time vortex.
Again, you need to understand. They put it on this big dog's neck, and then they just kind of pretty casually walk over to the TARDIS, and he's just sort of there like, "Grr, what are you doing to me?" And he just kind of lets this happen. It's very bizarre that you just see these two people pulling on this rope attached to this giant doggo, and then
How
they just
big?
kind of
How
like,
giant?
like 10 feet tall or something. Probably
10
maybe
feet
even a little
tall?
bigger than that. He's a big fella. He's
Yeah,
sitting on the TARDIS.
It's pretty big.
And the way that they hook it to the TARDIS is so flimsy as well. It's like it's barely
yeah,
attached to this
like
part.
nudging it would knock it off, sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's not hooked
I would
onto.
imagine getting a 10-foot dog to do anything would be very difficult if the dog wasn't on board.
Well, but what if he just let you do anything though?
Oh,
Mhm. And
well,
then just
obviously
said,
he's playing a
"No,
trick on you then, right?
no, don't do this."
Because if the dog
Don't
lets
appreciate
you
it.
do something that easily, it's like, oh, well, this is a trip.
I have
trick.
enough trouble controlling a 3-pound poodle.
Well, maybe you
Yeah.
need some intelligent rope because the doctor is like really happy now because he's like, I figured it all out. I know how to get everybody alive again, and it is because he drags Sutekh through the time vortex and starts yelling at him from inside the TARDIS, saying that you're the god of death. You're like death incarnate. You're all about death, which means I'm life. I represent life, and you know what? I'm gonna bring death to death. And you know what happens when you bring death to death? You get life.
It dies?
Well,
Death
that's not
dies?
true.
No.
That doesn't even
Double
like
negative.
thematically.
Well,
-1 plus -1.
yeah.
Yeah, that's totally how life and death works.
And so everyone's
Yeah.
alive again.
Yeah, like
Like,
it seems like
all
he
the people
basically,
who've
like,
ever died?
His hand like tears through this like vortex that they're going through, and then it looks like in No Way Home where like the universe is getting torn.
But this is a good
Apparently
thing
that just
somehow.
That just makes everything fine again. Like it saves everybody.
Wait, so everyone lives forever now because you killed death?
So it's funny you say that.
And anything die?
We assume when watching it, oh, he's going to undo all the people who got killed by him. But there are people who come back to life, as stated by the Doctor, who were just dead before from other things.
Like Mark Twain?
Maybe. It's unclear. Everyone's assuming that, but I imagine the writers aren't fucking crazy enough to just bring everyone who ever died back to life.
Like Jeffrey Epstein and Hitler?
It's just that everybody.
Well, I mean, we'll get all of the singers of the grunge bands from the 90s back.
I guess so. That's something.
Okay.
So you get Hitler
Aren't they
on
all
the
the
one
same
hand,
or
but on the other
something,
hand,
or-
you get grunge bands.
That is, most of them are
So
dead.
that's a trade-off.
Yeah, they kind of counter each other, right? Like, that's yeah. So it all worked out. And then the Doctor drops Sutekh into the time vortex as a sort of finisher move, fatality. Even though that's exactly how he defeated him, quote unquote, defeated him the first time. And I think everyone is just sitting there, sort of being like, oh, I guess he's just going to come back then at some point. What's the idea there? Yeah, all we've really got to say is that he beat him because he had intelligent rope. That's what he called it.
So what's the distinguishing feature between rope and intelligent rope? Just remind me.
You can hook it onto Gods of Death, I guess.
Critical
but you need
thinking
to-
skills.
The other part of the scene was the whole like him doing his whole kind of like Dark Knight. Oh, I have to break my one rule thing as well. Remember that?
Yeah,
You can't rope dogs.
So the Doctor doesn't kill people, and he gets really sad because he's going to have to kill Death. And by doing that, all he does is drop him into the time vortex, which I was under the impression he'd already done that before.
Doesn't that just send you to a different time?
Well, he
Because that's
vaporizes.
implied by.
He disintegrates. He like turns into nothing.
But I don't know why.
Because I would, if you drop anything into a time vortex, I just am led to believe that it doesn't kill you; it just sends you to another time, right?
Well, so what Muller was saying, that was apparently what happened to him last time. So why would he die this time?
I have no
But he
clue.
does.
I don't know what. Any of
Maybe
it
he
means.
was
Well,
sent to a time when he was dead.
Well, the thing is, the reality is, he died until the next set of writers don't have any ideas, and then they'll bring him back again, I guess. If they keep making Doctor Who.
Well, hey,
That's
the one
pretty
other
good.
thing that's worth mentioning is the reveal is super clever because we were talking about. You guys remember me mentioning Harriet Arbinger, right? Harriet.
How can I forget?
So, Sutekh is his name originally, and in this new one, they have this lady's just keeps popping up called Susan, and she runs Susan Technologies. And then you
Susan.
have,
Wait, what? Really?
and then at one point the AN, or rather the SAN of Susan glitches out, as does the knowledges of technologies glitch out.
Oh, you're not fucking around. It's actually Susan Technologies. I thought that was just you couldn't remember what it was. You were just referring to the
No.
evil lady.
It's that, and they glitch together, and it becomes Sutekh.
What happened to Russell?
What?
I don't know. This is the man who wrote Midnight.
Glitches, yeah,
Yeah,
it
like,
glitches. Just like
most
it glitched
of the
for
best
Harriet
Doctor Who
Harbinger.
episodes I've seen are him. So
It,
what happened?
well, and telling me you got like this is the result of being inspired by TLJ is so fucking funny. Like,
That's
of
pretty
course,
funny. Did he say that?
yeah.
Did he say that?
The primary
Why?
arc of the whole season is based after TLJ.
Man, that's he shouldn't have said that. That's that was silly. That was a silly thing to say. I was really, because I didn't watch the whole season. I just caught a few episodes. I was pretty floored by like how comical the show is. It's like such a clown show.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a goober clown show. It's just insane. But apparently, this is the one that has what, the highest budget that they've ever had for like a Doctor Who show.
Wait, are you saying that a really high budget didn't produce a great written TV show?
Oh, well,
What?
I just mean it had like clown qualities that even seemed to be like that it was kind of just this really sort of lame production.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. It just has like this quality of being so subpar. Like it's really fascinating just across the board.
Wow. See, the Doctor Who fans are eating well,
Oh, absolutely.
like the Star Wars fans.
But this was people are generally disappointed with the finale, right?
Yeah, so what I was struck by was that without this, throughout the season, a lot of the episodes, the big cope was always just, this will make sense later because he's going to explain this, and he'll recontextualize this, blah, blah, blah. And so, you know, you're thinking to yourself, like, well, maybe something will happen that will make it more bearable. Those people were very disappointed today because there was nothing.
Man, it is crazy how consistently that's proven to be a problem for these bad shows that have been coming out recently. That when the season starts and things don't make sense, it can get away with it because people expect, reasonably so, that they will get answers that it will all lead to a satisfactory conclusion. They're just all going to make sense in the end. But then when it doesn't, it's like, oh shit, the whole, you know, you look back and the whole thing starts to collapse. This is the reason why.
Well, there's no more cope available, is there?
Well, it's just, remember when Obi-Wan Kenobi was coming out, people loved that shit, and nobody likes it anymore. Well, maybe a handful of people do, but basically nobody likes it anymore. Why is that? The story's complete. There's nothing left to, that's it. You know, you can look back on it from beginning to end and realize just how messed up it was.
Somewhat of a difference between the people who were like, there is nothing more to this. This is the story, and the people who were like, no, I have hope. It's gonna happen. You're gonna have egg on your face.
It's almost like worse in this situation because at least with something like Obi-Wan, if you were paying attention to it, that you could say pretty much from the off, this story sucks, it's doing the wrong things, the story makes no sense. Whereas with something like Doctor Who and The Acolyte as well, they're both presenting themselves as mysteries. So you can theoretically find yourself sitting there saying, no, trust me, when all the pieces are in play and once you've got all the evidence, then it will make sense. You're actually stringing people along more by telling them it's a mystery arc than you would be if you were just overtly incompetent like they were with Obi-Wan.
Well,
That's true.
Reminds me of something else that came out semi-recently. The Fallout show. It's like, wait until you get to the end before judging the big old mystery at the beginning. And it's like, sure. Turns out it's, I guess, not easy to nail those sorts of things. I don't know.
Basically, episode 8 was Indy chopping up that bridge, basically, while you were just sitting there. Why? Why are you doing this?
But yeah, that's the Doctor Who season done. That's the new rebooted Disney money season, and from what I'm gathering,
Disney money season.
Many people who are very in favor of Doctor Who generally anyway have been very disappointed, and the ratings are catastrophically low. I think they had a record low for one of these episodes.
A record low?
I'm pretty sure, yeah, like it's lower than anything even in the Jodie Whittaker era.
Damn, and this is the most expensive one. That's what are the chances of Doctor Who actually like surviving as a series?
I guess
if they bought it and tried to save it with those ratings, I imagine these new ones will be.
I don't think it was that they bought it. It was like a licensing deal because it's on. Disney Plus,
yeah.
At least like internationally.
But like it's it needs to stop. I think. If you can't save it by bringing back one of the most beloved actors to play the Doctor and one of the most beloved showrunners to write, and neither of them are I mean, you bringing in the numbers. Not that I'm surprised at this point, of course. Then I don't know. Like what's left? You've done everything now. It's time to say goodbye.
What's next is to just write it better. But of course
They can't do that, Frankie. That's not an option.
I thought it was really embarrassing because I watched the first episode of this new run and started doing a video on it, which I sort of ran out of time, so it's sort of sitting there mostly made but not released. But like, it wasn't just, say, like bringing Tennant back for the specials, and he's still around, isn't he? So if they do get really desperate, they can bring him back yet again, which they probably will try and do. But the way episode 1 just played on basically the same exact beats all the way through as, I think it was episode 2 of RTD's first run, the one with Christopher Eccleston.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, arrive on spaceship, conversation about where Doctor comes from, argument with the distraught sidekick who, you know, worries about her mother, phone your mum, fixed your phone, now you can do it. It's like, everything it's basically the same, just so much worse and more shallow. So it's not even like he's just bringing back popular people. He's kind of redoing stuff he's already done, which worked before, but he seems to have completely forgotten why it worked before and how to make it work now, because there's no like character involved in these new ones. There's no actual proper conversations, there's no proper relationship dynamic, there's no real conflict or tension, there's no discovery. The Doctor is insufferably cheerful, certainly in that first episode. I don't know how he sort of gets... I gather he cries a lot later on. Maybe he becomes more miserable.
Oh, he set a record for crying in the last episode. I think I was up to like 9 in terms of noticing tears. 9 separate instances of crying in the final episode.
Yeah, I was about to ask, separate instances, or just he was crying for 9 minutes or something like that?
No, lots of crying. And it's just when you spam it, like, you know, at that point you just yeah, that's somebody just does. He cries when he's making his tea in the morning. It doesn't really, whatever. Apparently Russell has said he has a 2-year plan for Doctor Who, as the 2 seasons they've already filmed is year 1, and year 2 will be the 3rd that hasn't even been commissioned yet. And he says that once you
have
see
a 1 episode plan.
Convenient.
He says once you see season 3, you'll be saying to yourself, there you go, it was all heading there.
Oh, okay.
Sure, man.
Oh, what they'll find some other goofy, weird character that's a concept that's anthropomorphic, like time or death, and it'll be like, oh yeah, that was me all along, and then that'll be it.
Isn't it funny though that you get a whole season and you're sitting there saying, not only wait, give me another season, I'll fix it. It's give me another 2, and then you'll see where I was going with all of it. Yeah, how about no, man? How about someone else, maybe?
Why do they keep giving this guy the ability to write this TV show?
He's
well, as I understand
got the biggest pedigree.
Resume.
He's the favorite showrunner of Doctor
He's the one
Who.
that resurrected Doctor Who
God.
in 2005, but at this point, a lot of people are wondering what the...
That was 20 years ago.
You know what it reminds me of? I have friends who don't get it. They're like, what happened to this man? How is this possible? And he's not the only one. You got people with Dave Filoni being like, how is this possible? You got people with, obviously, the Ridley Scotts, James Camerons of the world who just, they just ain't what they used to be. That's just how it goes, I guess. With some people.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes people just get worse at what they do, and sometimes people get better as well.
Some people have to get better.
Well, from an incredibly low base, you'd hope they all do, but they always find new ways to be worse. That's like the only imaginative thing about them. But I mean, I guess like with RTD, you could say that like, some of the germs of his current problems were present from the beginning, because like I looked it up a while ago, sort of in service of this unfinished video. But like, if you go back to some of the episodes that he wrote during that revival run, like they were quite expressly political, and he was kind of lecturing and hectoring. It was just that it was a much more sort of broad-based universalist kind of theme. It was like warmongering politicians at the time of the Iraq War, and it's like kind of like that. And it also works in the context of the universe as well. So like he's not obviously preaching at you from within. So it's a more like universally recognized popular premise: warmongering, corrupt politicians are evil. And it's set up within the context of the story, so it never feels like you are being lectured. Whereas, like my impression from like this new run is, it's very much like it is using this new story to tell you a specific point. You sitting there in the audience, here is how you should use the correct pronouns to address whatever this fucking new villain happens to be, for example, which is already way more particular and less substantiated by the story and less forgivable. But it is kind of a development of something that he used to do. It's more that he's just become less subtle about it. I guess he cares less about the story he's telling you more about.
There's something to that for sure, that he's been given full reign, complete freedom, and that it's meant that he hasn't had to try anywhere near as hard. He's just gotten exactly to the point of anything that he particularly thinks or feels at the time. The thing I find fascinating is this 3-season thing combined with a lot of people saying they don't really get the Doctor yet, the new one, and the companion. She's already out, and nobody even learned anything about her. It was just she's generic person that sort of has values. You're like, yeah, okay, cool. And she's already done. So compared, obviously, to season 1, or I guess the first season of the reboot, where Christopher Eccleston's Doctor is considered by many to be one of the best Doctors of all time. Just 1 season. It's hard to sort of say what the fuck happened. I don't know, man. We'll check in with Doctor Who again in what, like a year's time. We'll see how it's doing, because it'll have
It's alive.
next season. But much like several other franchises, it feels it needs to be put on ice. Needs to just go away for a long time. Figure out what the fuck you're doing. I just can't believe how much of a money sink a lot of these things are. It's become kind of crazy.
There is precedent for that working for Doctor Who.
Yeah, there is. A lot of people think that could be it, but I worry it might become a it'll be like Simpsons, but it won't make any money at all. I assume Simpsons makes money still,
Hello, you just listened to a segment of the podcast Every Frame a Pause, or EFAP. Hosted by YouTubers Mauler, Rags, and Fringy, and joined by a cycling variety of guests across the internet, they critically analyze media with exhaustive detail while pausing at every single frame. Subscribe to the EFAP channel and catch new episodes on Saturdays, as well as catch their smaller videos reacting to the latest and not-so-greatest movies and TV shows throughout the week. You can also subscribe here to EFAP Highlights for the latest shorts, clips, and supercuts, also uploaded throughout the week. Links to all the relevant channels can be found in the description section below, as well as links to their communities on Reddit and Discord. Thanks for watching.